So following on from some of the therapy Thursdays and shoulders and triceps that we've seen in the last week, I want to talk more about shoulder health. And then we talked about shoulder impingement and two little tools here that I have that can help you control the scapula and help with the shoulder impingement. Now, one of the first things I like to do is this thing looks like two tennis balls stuck together. What I like to do here is to get what we call thoracic extension. So when we bend, here is flexion, here is neutral, and here is extension. A lot of the time we find that people have a lack of being able to get this moving very well to allow shoulder health. Now I'll give you an example. If I turn here and I flex in, this is as high as my shoulder becomes, right? If I raise my chest, I now got this extra room that I can do. So just being in flexion, not getting better extension, limits my shoulder ability. Let's show you what this looks like. So we take this, place it behind us, hold it still, lay on it. So it should sit between your spine. So your spine should be in the middle, and each one of the bally bits at each side. And then I want you to cross the shoulders. So you see it not cross awkwardly across the shoulders. Pull my shoulder blades out of the way, and then I lay on it. And you can see when I go here into extension, I move down a vertebra or up a vertebra here. Oh, go back and back. And then in the end, we can just roll, see if we can get better extension. Now we've got back our thoracic extension and we're a little bit more mobile. I like to use a band. Now if you have a cable machine, that's great. If you don't, then for at home, I like to use a big strong rubber band. And we're going to show you how to do this to control the scapula. So what I've done with the elastic band is tie it around something very secure, roughly shoulder height. I take the hand or the shoulder that I want to work and I'm holding it. Now the objective here is to basically retract my shoulder blade, and if I switch hands you can see my shoulder blade here needs to be pulled back and towards my finger at the bottom here. With that we hold that in place, so there's an isometric contraction here, so I pull it back and I pull the shoulder blade back and down and hold it. Once it's in isometric, I row, I slowly let the row out, and then I let go of the shoulder blade. So it's not a row, it's a shoulder blade retraction, isometric pause, row the arm, let the row go while keeping the isometric pause in the shoulder blade back here, and then I let the shoulder blade go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shoulder blade, hold, row, row, blade. I like to use that as a warm-up drill, like a control drill for the shoulder blade. So there's talk of scapular dyskinesia, or the inability of the scapula to move properly with the humerus, the arm bone. Whatever the literature says, what I find clinically is it works very well. We get people to control the shoulder blade while they move the arm separately. It goes a long way to reducing shoulder impingement syndromes. Now when you're using the band for the scapular retraction and isometric pause exercise, I like to do anywhere between 8 and 12 repetitions and then a good break. Always train both arms. So train the weakest one first and train the other one, take a rest, repeat it. 3 or 4 sets just as a control drill is fantastic. If you're in a lot of pain, use a lighter band, for example, and then you can do it daily, so like a frequency of 5 days on, 2 days off. So again, if it's just as a control drill in a general preparation phase, slightly thicker band, 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions just before you train, particularly on the upper body days. You can do it obviously on the lower body days, but upper body days. If you're in a lot more pain and there's more impingement type episodes, then it's a lighter band and more frequency. So 4 or 5 sets of 8 to 12 reps on a daily basis for 5 days in a row, 2 days off. Give it a go and let me know. So once you've done the control drill and you've got your thoracic extension back, those 2 things, I then like to go on and do the triset that we saw during the week, which was the lower trapezius raise, the power raise, and then the isometric pauses at the top. All of that encompassed together really helps to reduce the incidences of shoulder impingement. It also helps get stronger shoulder stabilizers. So if you want to increase your bench press or your chinning strength or your overhead pressing strength, I find that works really well. And I like to incorporate that in a phase at the beginning of general prep training. So just getting in condition, getting my shoulders healthy before we go into more specialization phases. So for example, my first block or the first month or 5 weeks would be really looking after my shoulders in different ways. Not bench pressing, if I wanted to increase the bench press, looking after my shoulders using dumbbells and all those kind of things. Once that general prep phase is finished, I then go back to the barbell bench pressing and get really specialized at building up the bench press again to whatever record I want to break. But I always have a phase, a general prep or a structural balance phase where we balance the shoulders out at the beginning of each block of yearly training. I encourage you to give it a try, and I'd really like to hear your feedback. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell. I'll see you next time.